Hi, welcome. Make sure I'm recording. Hold on. Am I recording? Yeah. Welcome to Jawaballs Live. This is season 2, episode 4, and I've got a lot of great stuff for you today. Um, Let me turn down the TV because my kid is watching Scooby Doo. I have Mechanicon coming up, a 5-game GT coming up this weekend, and I am actually leaving on Thursday after work. So I've been working pretty hard the last couple of weeks to get ready for the convention. So what I've got for you is the fruits of my labor. You want to see? Jack, I got a show to do, my friend. Sorry. This is my army, my Tau army. This is a big fat mess right now. I know I started showing you last week, hold on, let me switch back to the, oh, you know what, it looks a lot nicer on the, oh yeah, look at that. On XSplit, it looks nicer on my preview than it does on the mini wargaming. Silly. Don't know why. But, anyway, so I've got this army I've been working my butt off on, trying to get it ready. Tower are such an amazingly difficult army to paint because they're so little and they have so many intricate details. There's so much going on and you really can't see any of that right now because of the, for some reason I need to work on why it's not focusing. This annoys me. So they take so darn long to paint. And in my army here, I've got 30 fire warriors, 30 crew, 15 pathfinders, and that's a lot. I started this army at the beginning of summer, and I worked throughout the summer. When did you get when did Tal get an Xbox? Xbox? Oh, ha, yes, the Xbox. He's commenting on my Xbox controller. So back to the Tau. Yeah, they're just an amazing amount of work to get done to a very high standard. That is, most Tau armies that you see at any of the tournaments do not quite get the treatment that they should have. A lot of guys are flavor of the monthers, just painting them up to have a strong army. So they're all just roughly dry brushed and they look not great. So I, on the other hand, just can't allow myself to play an army that isn't fantastic. So while it might not win Best Painted, it is going to be one of the nicest Tau armies at the tournament. It's just the way I roll. So what I want to show you today is my display board, the work I do with my display board. So I'm going to come on over here. I'm going to bring the camera with me. Let's raise it up a bit. Okay. I'm going to show you how I make my display boards today. At least part of it. Sorry for the zooming here. Okay. And I got to tighten this one. So what I've got, this is my basic display board. I created using pink insulation board, 3 layers of it. Basically, I cut a 2x2 foot piece of pink insulation board. And then I cut a piece off and just flip-flop that piece and put it up here to make a 3rd tier. I'll check up on the questions. And for those of you that are watching this on tape delay, I try and respond to the questions and I try and catch up on the questions in the chat. So I'll try and read the question before I answer it for you guys who are watching this later. I have not washed any yellows. Basically, Jack, stop touching. Mommy better hurry up and get home. All I basically before I get to my display board. For my Tau, mostly, especially for my broadsides, what I did was I sprayed this with Army Painter Desert Yellow, and then I did my Jawa scumbling with Zamizi Desert to create this look. I don't know if you can see how it looks right here, but
Daddy, I want to do trash.
let's see if I can get you that. Wasn't really prepared to talk about the painting of the towel today. So yeah, that looks pretty good. So this is basically how I did it. Just sprayed with Army Painter Desert Yellow. Did a once over with Zamizi Desert on some of the areas on him. Then I highlight with Ushabti Bone, then Screaming Skull. And I do the lining with a pen. I kind of want to wait until I know that Gamer Girl will appreciate seeing this, so I don't want to get too far into it without her jumping in here. So I'm stalling. So you can see the difference here between the two models. One that's been sprayed and highlighted, and one that still needs the highlights. Actually, this one I might have sprayed it with a different color with the airbrush. I think I actually used a different ochre color on him. Let me show you my yeah, this is a squad of 3. Get those guys out. I started at the same time, and these guys have just been sprayed with Army Painter Desert Yellow, and no highlights yet. I lined them with the pen, and this guy has had the Zamizi Desert Touch, or Zamizi Desert, plus the highlights, so you can see where it's going to go. You guys want to zoom? How's that looking? So you can kind of see the difference here. The very subtle shading I did here. I didn't do a whole lot. Shading is really difficult to do on a flat surface. So I didn't do a whole lot, honestly. Just catching up on the chat. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do the board. So back to the board. Move my towel out the way. What I've got, again, is pink 1-inch thick insulation board. I cut 2 squares of it, 2 by 2 feet. And then on one of the pieces, I just cut a kind of swirly hole using my X-Acto blade. And just flip that piece over onto the top here. That gives me a 3-tiered level. Then I used kitty litter. Well, I glued it together with wood glue. Then I used kitty litter and wood glue. I painted the wood glue on and poured kitty litter on top to make the texture. Then I sprayed it with a couple layers of spray paint, but they didn't really hold it the way I wanted it to. So then I went over it with burnt umber acrylic paint and painted a nice level of burnt umber on the whole thing. But this is where I run into the problem that we talked about kind of last, or maybe 2 weeks ago, where I was talking about using cheap paint from Walmart. This Americana stuff. This is, the first dry brush I'm going to do to make my texture on this is with this color. This is a, which one is this? It's a burnt sienna. This is close to the shade of Mornfang Brown, which is what I used for the first highlight on the basing of my towel here, my Fire Warriors. So to get there, I don't have a whole lot of Mornfang Brown. It's very expensive, so I'm not going to use it to dry brush the whole board. I bought this. I have this Americana paint, which is a close color. Mornfang Brown is basically burnt sienna. So I have a close approximation for my display board. But the thing is this has a dry matte finish. So I'm going to dry brush this onto my glossy surface because the acrylic paint that I used was a high quality acrylic paint, and that I used for my banners. And but it's dried with a very glossy, shiny finish, and I don't want this shiny finish here. So what I'm going to do is go over this now with a light dry brush of this Americana paint. So I got just a box from my Riptide, and I got a big brush, and I'm just wiping off most of that paint. Now I'm going to dry brush it on. Oh, there goes my timer for the chicken. So this is going to do two things. First, it's going to highlight the brown. You'll see that the edges of the stonework here grabbing. I made this out of cork. You see the stonework grabbing the burnt sienna. Oh, I'm getting my bottles. No. But also, what it's going to do is just dull down that glossy finish that my acrylic paint had. I gotta go and pull the chicken out of the oven. Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Jack, don't you touch. Keep your fingers off. I'll catch you if you try. Okay, so back to business. When you're doing this, less is more, so you always want to go nice and easy. It's always better to apply less than have to keep on applying it than it is to try and apply it all at once and get way too much. Keep your fingers out of here, Jack.
What's that?
It's paint.
That's kind of like fun.
Your mommy's in trouble when she gets home.
Yeah.
So you can see as I add more now, I put a little bit too much right here. Now I got to even that out a bit.
That's a nice paper view.
You want to try this? You want to do what I'm doing? Here. Here, try it. A Star is Born. Good job, Jack. You're dry brushing. Yeah, get that spot too. Alright, my turn again. Thank you. Usually when I dry brush, the proper way to do it, I've been going back and forth. You should probably only go in one direction. Because what this really kind of does, if you only go in one direction, is it'll create the illusion of shadow. The highlights will be on one side, the dark will be on the other side. So it'll create that little shadowy illusion. Kind of forgot to do that. Let me catch up on some chat here. Pen thing, missed. So no one else around tonight? Not many, only 12 people around. Watching Jawa work, think he's brownies. You guys hearing the buttons, right? Or the oven? Don't touch anything, Jack. Here's Mini Girl. I was waiting for you, Mini Girl, but you came on too late. I knew you were going to have questions about this, so I wanted you to see this. Jack, get your fingers off those. Alright. So now I gotta spin this around.
Ow!
You gotta get away, Jack. I'm sorry. You okay? Go sit down in your chair, please. Go sit in your chair. The terrain for these two terrain pieces are aquarium terrain. I bought them at PetSmart. I wait till they're on sale. I got them for like 50% off. But they look pretty appropriate for a nice Tau alien world terrain, right? Okay. Get away now. Go sit down. Your mother's in so much trouble. Get away now. There goes the phone. Someone does not want me to do a show tonight. Right, no one wants me to make a show, Jack.
Not again.
You can see how this. The reason why I wanted to wait for you, Mini Girl, was last week we were having a discussion, or 2 weeks ago, about this, the cheap paint that I'm using for this, to catch people up that just signed in. I put down the dark brown with some more expensive, higher quality paint, but the thing is, it has a glossier finish. So in order to dull that down, I'm now dry brushing it with the cheap Walmart paint, the Americana, and this will serve first as a highlight, but also to dull down that glossy finish. This is my 2x2 display board for my army, yeah. When I paid for competition, I created a display board for the army. It makes a big difference. It's a really easy way of making your army look really good. It serves two purposes. First of all, it makes your army look better. But also, it creates a nice carrying tray for you to put your army on to go from table to table during tournaments. So you're not one of those guys that keeps just throwing his stuff in a box. It gets all broken and cluttered, and he has to sort it out every time he pulls his models out for the next game. Getting caught up on the chat. 2x2 diorama. Someone had asked if it was a 2x2 diorama. I answered that question. Multi-layered brownie cake. It does look like a multi-layered brownie cake. The board's looking nice, so, or if you were, I think it would. Brownie jokes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead to the next part. Let me just do this side. It will look less like a brownie cake in just a few minutes. Let me show you where I'm going with this. Here's my finished, mostly finished base Riptides. And you can see that their bases are created to match the terrain of the board. And once I'm done with the highlights, you'll see what I mean. See what I mean, Jelly Bean? So next highlight is going to be Well, see, I went with bleach bone on my Fire Warriors, but then on my Riptides, I went with that darker shade. What did I go with? Maybe like an elf, like a flesh tone or something. Elf flesh, maybe? I don't know. Let me check my Americana paints and see if I have a different shade. Country tan. I'm gonna go with Country Tan. This is acrylic paint, Apple Barrel, Country Tan. Are you home, Mommy? Yeah. Jack, go downstairs now. Bye-bye. Can you come get him, please?
Jack, come here. Did you eat dinner?
So I'm actually going to kind of mix this up a bit with my burnt sienna. I'm trying to get something close to what I had on the basis for my Riptides there. There's chicken on the stove. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I'm going to go just in one direction with this to create that effect of the sun shining from this direction. Well, you can see how that really glossy look is mostly just gone now, right? Sorry I didn't show you how I made this board, but I do have a whole DVD devoted just to doing this process. So if you want to learn actually how to make this, buy my DVD. You probably already got it for free off Mini Wargaming. Spin it. I'm not overly concerned if the bases really match the display. So long as it's close, that's all that really matters. May get caught up on the chat here. Oh yeah, that's the only way to people are talking beer and jelly bellies. Where they sell the messed up jelly beans for cheap. I use the same painting on my table video. Yeah, basic technique, you're right. A lot of guys, I'm sure Terrainaholic does the same kind of stuff too. I actually got this from my buddy Jim, the Stout Smurf, who does a lot of this. He turned me on to this paint. Trying to avoid streaks. Right here I got some streaks. There was a little bit too much paint in one part of the brush and I streaked it in there. I'm going to try and even that out. I'm going to go with more pure desert tan. Jack, we'll watch Scooby-Doo in a little while, alright, babe? Yeah, a little while. Ah, kids. Normally I'm doing this at my workbench downstairs, so I have a lot more space. Did you guys see I managed to change the nifty title? Because Miss showed me how to do it last week. So now you know what you're watching. Check the chat real fast. Sure, I can do Bob Ross. I don't remember his voice though. It's been so long since I saw him work. But I think he talked in a very soft voice. He was very relaxed. And then he would paint like this. And then he would make mistakes, which he did all the time. Then he's like, they're never mistakes. They're happy little accidents. Then he would try and just feather in the mistake and turn that mistake into a beautiful tree or a beautiful reflection on a pond. Was that close enough to Bob Ross? I even did the Bob Ross. Happy little tree. Oh, it's a reflection. Bob Ross was really good at doing certain things, and that's what made him awesome. Is that he used a couple of simple little techniques over and over again that people were able to master and reproduce. Which is essentially what I do when I teach how to paint. Master a couple of simple techniques and go from there. In fact, that's how I paint in general. I'm Bob Ross. Alright, so I'm going to go one level higher with the highlight now. Right up the bleach bone. Or in actual sense, titanium white. I have a Liquitex Basics titanium white soft body. Fairly expensive paint. Actually, no. Compared to GW paint, it's really, really cheap. But the thing that I would rather use my Americana Cheapo paint, because this paint has a glossy finish. Like you can already see it kind of shining in the box here. I don't want to use too much of this. I'll probably even mix a little bit of the... I might regret this because yes, it is a glossier finish. Maybe I'll just go subtle. I think I'm done, folks. How's that look? Here's the angle. That's how it's gonna look. Ta-da! So now, I'll probably come back in once this dries and touch it up a bit more. But I don't spend a whole lot of time on my display board, you know, relatively. Because in the end, you don't want your display board overpowering the power of your models. But you know what I'm going to do while I have this out? Wasn't all that pleased. Dry brushing. The Riptide's display, the Riptide's base, to bring it more in line with what I have here. There. Almost as if they're right in there. Because what I'm going to do is drill holes and set them into the terrain, so you won't even be able to tell that they're not part of it. But there's going to be so many models on this board that you're really not even going to be able to see it anyway. I mean, just look. I've only got my riptides and my suits on there, and it's already half or a quarter full, right? Look. You know, so when I get 60 infantry on there plus a tank, it's going to be totally covered. You're not going to be able to see any of the display anyway. Yeah, I used, the question was, did I say I used corkboard for the rock formations? Yeah. You go to Art Supply Store, they sell it like a 1 foot square, like 3 sheets of cork, like you would find it, like used for a bulletin board. Then I just kind of tear it up and I edge it so that it looks like step stone. You can see it here on the base for my riptide. All these guys have cork stepstone bases. Getting caught up on chat. Sorry for the pause. Yeah, the cork. I like how the cork grabs the edge too. You have to be careful when you're using cork. As Justin from Secret Weapon, he did a painting seminar, like an advanced class at Nova Open, and he talked about using cork. And one of the problems is that people will attempt to use cork, but then it just looks like cork. So you have to use it properly and be careful that you change it enough to where it looks like what you're trying to get. In this case, stepstone, not just a pile of cork. So that's going to be pretty much it for you, folks. It's already 7:34. A little bit shorter show tonight, but I got a lot of work to do ahead of me. Plus, I have to go down and get some dinner. And I just got home a little while ago myself. So that's going to wrap it up. If there's no more questions, I'm going to kind of pack it in for the night. And that's about it. So there. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This was Jawaballs dry brushing my grand tournament display board for my new Tau army. I am going to be posting up battle reports on my YouTube channel from the tournament. Plus, I'll put some other footage up. I'll take pictures of the armies that I play against and or that are just there in general. So I'll give you a lot of coverage. So be watching soon for coverage from the Mechanicon GT. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed. More to come.